Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of me analyzing stocks. And today we're going to do another company that I really like. This is a company that I think I just got back from shopping there. I love Costco. Their membership is amazing, and there's not much that they've done to warrant for me to really hate the company. And this is really a company that I absolutely love. So I'm going to organize this a bit differently today. I'm going to go over the revenue and profit first. We can see here, this is the revenue growth rate and then the margin and then the PE over the last 5 years and the last 10 years, where we have that 7% 10-year median, we have that 11% 5-year CAGR, which means that they are picking up growth quite a bit more recently than they have been in the past, but their PE is still relatively elevated from where it's historically been, where it probably should be for a company that's only growing at 11% a year. And this is something that we'll come to see is probably going to bite Costco in the butt when it comes to the evaluation of its price. So I separated headwinds and tailwinds because I think there's more to get into with these, right? Before we actually get to where I see Costco's fundamentals landing them, let's take a look at where the headwinds go, right? High valuation is probably the biggest headwind for them right now, right? I have this at a 5 out of 5 danger level because of how overpriced I think they are compared to the growth potential of the company. They're they are a good company, right? They have steady membership. They have steady as we will get to steady membership, they have steady people coming back to it. There's no one that has a Costco membership that really thinks, dang, this is going to be the first thing I come, right? But the high valuation is still there. Geographical concentration, I have this at a very, very low risk for them, relatively speaking, because they're expanding into different areas, and even if they are concentrated, people still would drive hours to go to Costco's, and I don't see Costco being that disproportionately impacted by something like a regional a regional downturn in the economy. Competition, I don't see anyone in really fighting for the customers Costco's fighting for. And maybe sure you can argue that like Sam's Club or other hard warehouse stores are their competition, but no one does it like Costco. And the reason is something we'll get to when it comes to the tailwinds, right? But I think the bigger issue for Costco might be the labor cost. I do put that as a 2 out of 5 day for warnings. It's not really a big thing, and I think if they did try to cut down on labor, that would somehow be even bigger a headwind for Costco because of the reputation of the company to pay their their employees really well. If they suddenly decided, no, we can't pay our employees, then the company itself that is going to result in a very big backlash to the company. So I do think while the labor cost is a headwind, it is somehow both it is somehow still just pushing the company to a higher valuation because of the reputation that it gives the company itself. So let's go to the tailwinds, right? Obviously, I didn't put labor costs in the tailwinds, which because they doesn't really make sense there. But tailwinds, right? Strong brand loyalty, the Kirkland signature, those are called classics, right? If you've ever been to a Costco, or even if you walked around in America, you'll probably see Kirkland brand items. They are very good in quality at a lower price. So a lot of times, sure, maybe you only get you're not getting the top end, but you're getting really good value, right? So those two are, and the strong brand loyalty is the same thing. So with those two, I think they are tailwinds for the company. Where if Costco decides to push out a an item that is Kirkland signature, right? They are going to make profit off that. They actually have a policy where they're able to mark up their Kirkland signatures a bit more than what they're allowed to mark up other third-party items. So that would be a slight tailwind for them. International expansion is, I think, also a decent tailwind for them. This is simply due to the fact if you look at when the first Costco opens in an international market, right? Whether it's, I believe most recently was Japan and China, they get lines around the block for hours on end where people are just trying to get in. And that's really just shows the demand there is for Costco's outside of just the United States and just in developing and developed countries as a whole. The brand loyalty is really second to none, I would say. Inflation, once again, tiny tailwind because they are selling things at a slight at really small margins. So inflation technically does help them a little bit because then they're able to raise prices, but it's not really something that I think puts a dent in the grand scheme of things. So, so then where do I think all these headwinds and tailwinds really bring Costco to? Well, I do think they should be able because I think the tailwinds are probably a bit stronger than the headwinds when it comes to fundamentals, of course, that I do think that they're able to have a 10% revenue growth with the customer, with the customers being so loyal and able to buy their items. The profit margin, however, probably still stays at that around that 30% range, simply because that's just the margin they have. They aren't they aren't making money off of margin, they're making money off of fall, right? So that's really what it comes down to, which then really, like, this is where it hurts to see Costco being at such a low revenue growth rate, because this is what hurts its NDPE, right? The NDPE here of 20 reflects the fact that it's only a 10% growth rate. And that is kind of painful because that really drags down its intrinsic price to like about $300 just from that alone. Whereas if it is at its current PE of about 50, 30 or about 50, right, you can double that to get it up to about a price of 600. So that is a slight issue. So what about the free cash flow? Free cash flow is a bit better for Costco. Honestly, they do have a bit better track record of free cash flow growth, which I didn't show as a graph here because it's not really as interesting as the revenue side. But obviously, free cash flow is going to be something that can help us press the company as well. They they do I do think that the price it's free cash flow of 40 is reasonable because at that 13% growth rate, that actually does entail a price of free cash flow of over 40. I think it goes to about 50 for me. But because it's historically been trading at around a 40 price of free cash flow, that's why I'm using this value. I want to be more conservative. I don't want to lose money, so let's use the lower conservative number. And if it's still a buy, then it's definitely a buy for us. Then with all of this, right, we get that it has an intrinsic price of about 660, 670. With this is also counting for that $18.65 of debt per share, which isn't really that high for a company for Costco. They definitely make they make that in about a year, so that their debt is not a real concern. So given all of that, where do I stand with Costco, right? I love the company and I wish I loved this. The revenue really tells us about $300. Free cash flow is saying about 660. And what that comes out to really for me as a target price is probably overall, I'd probably say around the 550. Well, of course, this is going to be me saying that, yeah, I'm slightly ignoring the revenue side a bit more than I am the free cash flow, simply because I do think Costco deserves a higher multiple. I don't think that the multiple it's given right now is at all warranted, about above 50. Sure, it's predictable. Sure, people love it, but that doesn't detract from the fact that at its core, the company grows at 10% a year, and 10% growth does not give a company a PE of 50. That's kind of reserved for companies that are growing in the 20s to 30s percentage per year range. So that being said, with this price at being almost $1,000 right now, I have to give Costco a sell. As much as I will love the company, I cannot endorse the stock. So thank you guys for listening and watching. Let me know if I made any mistakes, if you guys want me to cover any other companies, and leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day.